Hello students, how are you? I hope you are enjoying your studies, enjoying your days at home. Today I am here with the same Merchant of Venice. I am going to continue with Act 1, Scene 2. In my previous video you have watched Scene 1, the paraphrasing of Scene 1, and now I am going to begin with Act 1, Scene 2. So let's begin. This scene opens in Belmont, where Portia, the rich and beautiful heiress, resides. She shares with her maid, Nerissa, her doubts concerning her future due to the strange provisions of her father's will. According to the will, she is to be won by the suitor who chooses correctly from among the 3 caskets made of gold, silver and lead. Portia ridicules the suitors who have come earlier to try their luck, showing their disapproval. When Nerissa reminds her of Bassanio, she remembers him and has tender thoughts for him. The scene is in prose and deals in indirect explanations and characterization. So what we are going to read in this scene is, we will be introduced with Portia, the heroine in the drama, and we'll come across Portia and Nerissa talking to each other, where Portia, she would be talking about her problems, she would be talking about her tiredness, and Nerissa, she would be trying to console her. And then one by one, Nerissa would name all the suitors who have already come to Belmont to woo Portia, and Portia would be expressing herself, like what she thinks about these suitors. She would be expressing herself on each suitor. So all the suitors who have already come to Belmont will be introduced with those suitors, and will be introduced what Portia thinks about them. So here I begin. Scene 2, Belmont, a room in Portia's house. Enter Portia and Nerissa. So the scene is set in Belmont, a room in Portia's house. Like this is, as I had told you in the previous scene also, you need to remember where the scene has been set. So the scene has been set in a room in Portia's house in Belmont. So Portia and Nerissa, they both enter. Portia: by my troth, Nerissa, my little body is aweary of this great world. So Portia is talking to Nerissa, and she tells Nerissa that she is sick, she is tired of this world. Like she considers herself as a little lady, little girl, and she is sick of this world, she is tired of this world. To that, Nerissa, her maid, replies, you would be, sweet madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes are. So Nerissa replies that yes, madam, yes, Portia, ma'am, you have to be, or you can be weary, you can be tired, provided your miseries are as many as your good fortunes are. That means Nerissa wants to say that, Portia, you are rich enough, you are beautiful enough, you have everything in your life, then why are you saying that you are sick? So she says, a person whose miseries are more, a person who is more miserable in his life, that person can say these words, that person can say that, okay, I am tired of this world. But why are you talking like that? Then she says, and yet, for all I see, that they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they that starve with nothing. So surfeit with too much means those who have enough, those who have plenty. So Nerissa says that, and ought I see, ought means whatever I see in the world, I feel that the people who have enough, the people who have plenty, they also keep grumbling, they also keep crying like the people who starve in their life, like poor people. She means to say that I have seen rich people grumbling and crying for more, as the poor people, they crave for more, they want more. As the starving people, they want more in their life, in the same way, the rich people also, they crave for more, they want more in their life. It is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. So she says that there is no small happiness to be situated or to be seated in the mean. Mean here refers to in the middle. That means the person is neither rich nor poor. If a person is in the middle, then the person will have little bit of happiness. Otherwise, the rich as well as the poor both want more. They keep crying, they keep asking, they keep craving for more. Superfluity comes sooner by white hairs, but competency lives longer. Superfluity means like those they get aged soon. Those who have more, they get aged soon. Their hair, they grow grey sooner. And competency means they live a long life. The people who have enough, they live a long life. She means to say that the rich people who keep craving for more, they grow old soon. Their hair grow white soon as compared with the people who don't have anything. Because the people who are poor, they live a longer life because they are better than the rich people. Portia. Good sentences and well pronounced. So Portia replies to Nerissa that, okay, you spoke good sentences, you said good words and you pronounced them well. I mean, you presented them very well. Nerissa. They would be better if well followed. Nerissa said, okay, fine, yes, I spoke good words, but my words would be better if they would be followed properly. If people follow my words properly, then they would be better. Then Portia says, if to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, and chapels had been churches, and poor men's cottages, princes' palaces. Means Portia says that if it was very easy, or if it was as easy as to do as to say, that means she wants to say that it is very easy to say anything, but it is very difficult to follow what we say. It is very easy to preach, but it is very difficult to follow what we preach. If it was like that, if to preach was or to do was as easy as to preach, then chapels had been churches. Chapels is a small place of worship in a small village. You can say a small church. And she says, if to do was as easy as to say, then chapels would have been churches, and poor men's cottages and poor people's cottages, poor people's huts, they would have been princes' palaces. Means it is very difficult to think, it is very difficult to, it is very easy to say, but it is very difficult to do, or very difficult to pursue what you are saying. You can aim at something. You can think of getting something, but it needs hard work. You have to put in lots of efforts to pursue what you aim for. So it is very easy to aim, it is very easy to think, but it is very difficult to attain something. You have to work hard to attain something. Then she says, it is a good divine that follows his own instructions. Divine here means a preacher. She says, it is a good preacher. He is a good preacher. He is a good teacher who follows his own instructions. Means a person who preaches and follows. That means it is not that we keep telling others what to do in life, how to live in life, but we ourselves need to follow what we tell others to do. Like first we need to follow what we preach. Then only we will be called as a good preacher, a good teacher. We need to follow, we need to observe what we want others to do. Then only we will be called good preachers. It is a good divine that follows his own instructions. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done than be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching. So Portia says that I can very easily teach 20 people. I can very easily tell 20 people to do what is to be done and how is to be done. But it is very difficult to follow what I preach, what I teach. I can teach 20 people, but it is very difficult for me to be one among those 20 and follow what I am teaching them. The brain may devise laws for the blood, but a hot temper leaps over a cold ticker. Such a hare is madness the youth, to skip over the meshes of good counsel the cripple. So now Portia here says that the brain may devise laws for the blood. It is a brain which devises laws for the blood. Like we are directed by our brain. We are human beings, and obviously we are learned people, we are knowledgeable people. So our brain guides our heart. The brain may devise laws for the blood. The blood here signifies heart. So it is the brain which directs the heart, which guides the heart to do something in life. Such a hare is madness the youth. So she compares young age, she compares youth to a mad hare and says that to skip over the meshes of good counsel the cripple. She says that young people are like a mad hare who overlook, who skip the advices being given by elders. Like the young people, they do what they want to do. They hardly bother what the elders are saying or what the people want them to do. They do whatever they want, they themselves want to do. So they skip the counsel, they skip the advices being given to them by elders. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. She says that, but this law does not apply on me. I cannot choose a husband of my choice. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to choose me a husband. I cannot choose a husband myself. Though I am young, I am beautiful, I am rich, but I am bound with my father's will. I cannot choose anyone whom I like. Oh me, the word choose. I may neither choose whom I would, nor refuse whom I dislike. So Portia is very sad, and she says that, oh, the word choose. I mean, this word choose does not apply on me, though I am young. I may neither choose whom I would. Would means wish. She says, I cannot choose the person whom I wish, nor refuse whom I dislike. I cannot choose the person whom I want, I wish to marry, and I cannot dislike the person. I cannot reject the person whom I don't like. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. And so she says that in this way, the will, the desire of a living daughter, the desire of a daughter who is living, it is curbed, it is suppressed by the will, it is suppressed by the desire of a dead father. Like Portia is living and she has to follow her father's desires. She has to follow what her father had said about her. She cannot do anything on her own, though she is young. Still, she is following her father's words. Is it not hard, Nerissa, that I cannot choose one nor refuse none? So she says, Nerissa, is it not hard on my part that I cannot choose the one I want and I cannot refuse the one I don't want? Means I cannot select a husband for myself, I cannot make a choice of husband myself, and I cannot refuse, I cannot reject the person whom I don't like. To that Nerissa replies, your father was ever virtuous, and holy men at their death have good inspirations. So follow this Nerissa, the maid of Portia, replies and says that your father was ever virtuous, like your father was really a man of good qualities, he was really a very wise man. And holy men at their death have good inspiration. So she says, Nerissa says that your father was a very wise man, and these kind of men, these kind of holy people as your father was, during their death time, they have good guidance. During their death, they have good advices to be given to their children. Therefore, the lottery that he had devised in these 3 chests of gold, silver and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning, chooses you. So that is why Nerissa says, since your father was a virtuous man and he has really devised a very good lottery of caskets for you. So she says, that is why these 3 chests, these 3 caskets of gold, silver and lead, according to him, according to your father, who chooses the right casket means that person who gets the right casket is going to choose you. That person is going to marry you. Will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly, but one who shall rightly love. So Nerissa says that it is undoubted. It is undoubtedly the right thing devised by your father, because the person who will choose the right casket will be the right person for you. That person will be the right person who would be loving you. But what warmth is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors that are already come? Nerissa now asks Portia, but what warmth? Warmth means what is your opinion? What is your feeling? Is there in your affection towards any of these princely suitors? Like, what do you think? What is your feeling about these suitors? These suitors who have come to marry you. What is your feeling about them? What do you think about these suitors who have already come to Belmont? What opinion do you have about them? Portia, I pray thee, I request you. Thee means you. Overname them. You name them one by one, and as thou namest them, I will describe them. As you will name them one by one, I will describe them. And according to my description, level at my affection. So Portia says, like directly, I will not say if I like this person or I don't like this person. She says, you keep naming them one by one, and while you will be naming them, I will describe them. I will say what I feel about them. I will say what kind of people, what kind of person these suitors are, and then according to my description, you can level my feelings for them. You can find out what I think about them. So Nerissa begins. So here we begin with the suitors, the people or the princes who have already come to marry Portia. So this is the first prince. So Nerissa says, first there is the Neapolitan prince. So this is the first suitor described here, who is the Neapolitan prince. So about this Neapolitan prince, what Portia says, Portia, that's a colt indeed. Colt means a young horse. So she says, this Neapolitan prince, he is a young horse. Because he doth nothing but talk of his horse. Why she compares Neapolitan prince to a young horse? Since he keeps talking about horses all the time. He doth nothing. Doth means does. He does nothing but talks about his horse. He keeps talking about his horse all the time. And he makes it a great appropriation to his own good paths, that he can show him himself. And then Portia says that this Neapolitan prince, he is a young, inexperienced, like he is a young horse, like since he keeps talking about horse all the time. And then she says that he makes a great appropriation. Great appropriation means he boasts about himself. This Neapolitan prince, he boasts about himself and says that he is so capable that he can shoe his horse himself. So this shows that she does not like his behavior.